Welcome back to the Rock and Roll channel. I know a lot of Florida State fans are still reeling from Friday night, but man, it's time to get past that one way or another. Fortunately, we live in a time in college football where one game shouldn't determine your whole season. I say shouldn't because you never know in this world. But joining me today is my friend Brian Smith from Locked On Seminoles, who, as always, daily content on his show. Did a great job breaking down the game from Friday night, which
It wasn't fun to do, but yeah, I
wasn't
did.
fun, but no, he did a great job as far as your accuracy about it, and I agreed with you. And I'm not saying that because we're friends now. So I got Brian here. We're going to talk about the game a little bit, but we've decided, man, the game's been talked about, and if you saw it, it's as cut and dry a game as you'll ever expect. So we're going to talk about what the Noles need to do moving forward, what surprised us about the other night, and what may or may not be able to be fixed. So, Brian, welcome, my friend. What stood out to you about Friday, good and bad? Just, I understand we beat ourselves, but what just stood out to you in that game?
The biggest thing is the pass rush is completely non-existent,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of discussion about, well, you got to blitz, and I had one guy arguing on my channel, oh, you had a terrible take, and of course you have to blitz. Can you get home if you do? You don't think Tony
right,
White is experienced at this? So
right.
they got 3 picks on an experienced graduate student corner or
Mhm.
quarterback. So there's give and take with blitzing. And right now, I said this on my channel. Look, if you look at the roster, and historically, Florida State is a top 5 program with defensive ends in terms of just twitchy, getting the 7 technique wide, and here I come. They don't have a single guy like that on the roster right now. It is unbelievable. They literally do not have one. They're taking linebackers and playing them at the jack position that have no business play. They have no choice.
Right.
So that is glaring. They're going to, I'll get into this a little later, but they're going to have to come up with some incredibly creative ways to cause confusion as much, if not more, than pressure. Because if you don't have the right guys, there's only so much pressure you're going to create against a decent line, let alone Miami's.
First off, thank
Now,
you, Ryan. Yeah, no, absolutely. Ryan, first off, happy birthday to my friend Ryan from Garden and Old. And thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that, man. So, oh, wow. Okay, I'll see that after. But I agree. And you know what? People are so surprised. And one of my friends called me like disappointed during the game. And I said to him, this is really a lot of the concerns we had in the offseason,
100%.
especially in the summer, coming to fruition. One game can mask it. Can you mask it a whole season? And I know we talked about that on your show, that
Yep.
we did not pass the first test on the road and dealing with adversity.
They really didn't. They were mentally not as not they didn't come out just flat or something, but they weren't as focused as necessary, as the saying goes. And look, they were so much better than Virginia. It's not even funny, despite having multiple turnovers, drops, all kinds of things. They had over 500 yards of offense.
Yeah, and 3 turnovers.
And
That'll
they
win
were
you 9, 10 ball games. No, excuse me, 9 out of 10 ball games. If you told me that would be the stats for the game, I would have said we'll win.
yeah. But they also and he's a really good player. It was just indicative of the evening. The most important play to me the entire night is one. It's not a turnover. It's a turnover that didn't happen. When Jerry jumped the route, deflected the ball, and the guy caught it, not only did he catch it, I'll give him credit. The light went on, and he took off and broke tackle. Like, they had more resolve than Florida State. Every time, not every, but it seemed like every time there was contact, they fell forward.
Yeah, they wanted it. This was their national championship game in a way.
Yep.
They made that clear during the week, and it should have resonated more with our team, especially on a Friday night with no other games on, which I'm not a fan of those games, but I'm not making excuses there. That should have – I mean, Tony Elliott basically called you an NFL team. They did everything to let you know, man, we are going to take you – you're going to get our best shot.
Yeah.
And I don't think Norvell handles that well when he is – this is the stuff I was going to talk about later. I don't think he handles it well when he's the target versus when he – excuse me, the hunted versus the hunter.
That's the concern I had with him going to Florida State in the first place, coming from the G6, G5, whatever. It's different. Like if you look at coaches that are career assistants, that phrase is very difficult because like Kirby was a career assistant, LSU and Alabama. That's different.
And
like their expectation is to win it every single year.
Yeah.
End of story. There is no other negotiation.
Yeah.
And he was under Saban the whole freaking time. This is a scenario where he's coming from some good places, but he hadn't been around that kind of program.
No.
And I hate saying this because I don't like Georgia, but like Kirby said it after they just destroyed Florida State a couple of years ago. He goes, this is recruiting. This is recruiting. Yep. That's all it is. It's just players. Why do you think I spend so much time away from my family? And I was like, dang, that's an interesting way to put it. And
right.
He's talked about that several times. I say on the Portal podcast all the time, my other show on Locked On, college football is 80% recruiting. Nobody wants to hear that, especially programs that aren't in the Florida State realm, because that means you have no chance to win it, which they don't.
Yeah.
But it's just true. Even with the portal era, it's a very limited few that even make it into the playoff that prioritize the transfer portal. High school recruiting times 1,000. And Florida State, while they've done a pretty good job, even under Norvell's watch, it's still not good in all the spots. O-line, D-line are the two that you have to hit that they have not. And especially edge. Like they've taken a bunch of 3-star D linemen for the most part, moved up on several of them, and it's worked, but none of them are edges, like pure edges. And that's just one example. That offensive tackle outside of Lucas Simmons and Jonathan Daniels, and now they just finally got Mario Nash. Like they're finally they don't have a fifth-year guy that they recruited. They don't have a senior that they recruited that's a tackle.
No.
That's insane.
And we're still in the last year. People forget the last year of COVID years.
Yeah, like a lot of
got a lot of grown men on the other side.
Yep.
That you're like, wow. I mean, Virginia has a big offensive line.
Yeah, that's part of it too. Like looking at the schedules, this is the last year of the mega quarterback. And what I mean by that is just mega years. Guys that aren't necessarily good. Like Chandler Morris, until this year, wasn't that good. He's finally figured it out as a graduate. Like he's deadly accurate. He's better than I thought he was as a runner, by the way. He's way better. And he's a guy that, and congrats to him for getting more athletic, more limber, all that. But he's a guy that just torched them in those intermediate passes, which most college kids don't. They just don't.
Right.
They don't see the holes. Tony's defense is not really made to go against those kinds of guys, and nobody else's is either. Zone defense against an elite quarterback, they'll pick it apart.
Oh, absolutely.
And he did, even though they got 3 picks. It's weird. The only time he struggled is when he got impatient. He did a few times when Florida State did get pressure. 4 or 5 seconds of coverage was pretty good. He'd throw something dumb. But otherwise, I mean, his decision-making, even if he missed, was bad. So, but if you look at Florida State's schedule coming up, starting, obviously, Carson Beck, 6th-year senior, I think he is. But they got him. You got Pittsburgh. They got a kid now. It's in his 3rd year. Like all these quarterbacks are playing are going to be experienced. Florida State's not going to throw 10s and 7s up there on the defensive side moving forward. These guys can go throw.
No.
So let's be careful of the expectations. But at the same time, like the person that commented on Locked On Seminoles, you're not going to just blitz every down to eliminate it either. Going one-on-one. I mean, even bottom dweller teams now. Vanderbilt is a top 5 or 6 team in the SEC. Like everybody has a quarterback.
Yeah,
it's a tough question.
And Miami's going to try to beat you with just their front 4.
That's we'll talk about that in a minute.
We're going to talk about that, but stuff like that. It's crazy talking about Carson Beck. He was in the same class as Anthony Richardson in the state of Florida. But you talked about if you don't get pressure on this kid, he can sling it. And
the problem with him, I'll just use one game as an example. They played Notre Dame. They were transitioning to more of a zone D. Bad idea. He was 13 out of 16 when Notre Dame played zone. 13 out of 16. Wow. You're toast. He was only 7 out of 14 when they played man and they blitzed more. But you're still putting your guys on an island. I don't know where they are in their comfort level with playing man. Mm-hmm. It's high risk. But if they just play cover 3 and cover 2, it'll be 2nd and 4 all day because their run game's good, and he will take the 4 to 6 yard pass as much, if not more, than anybody else in college football. He's the most patient guy, and he kills you with like death through 1,000 cuts.
This is Carson, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
He will just nickel and
he's
dime
not going to
you.
get rattled on the road. We could talk about Doak at night and yada, yada. He's played in the toughest environment.
Yeah, he did. With 99% of the quarterbacks, that would matter. It's the players around him that might a little bit, like Malachi or something like that. But he's played at American Heritage, you know.
And he's played in big games now.
Going into played Florida and Notre Dame. It's not going to matter.
I don't focus on skill position players as much in these games.
Linemen and quarterbacks.
And yes, linemen, quarterbacks. Maybe every now and then a DB gets caught up in crowd noise a little bit, but a receiver, man, just run and catch the ball. And that kid is getting featured more and more.
Malachi Tony's legit.
He is dangerous. And if he's your third receiver.
Yeah. Florida State's going to have some interesting matchup decisions back there. But let's just go ahead and, if you don't mind, let's tackle this. I'll just ask you, how would you go about on third down and long? Would you just drop 8? Because Florida State's so bad at pass rush. I would drop 8, or I'd come hell-bent for leather. The 4-man rush doesn't work. They proved that.
3. Is Tony going to stick with the 3 a little bit more this week?
I think he's going to disguise, and everybody saves something for elite teams. They say they don't. Baloney.
You talked about that. You did.
Yeah.
My thing is, but if I told you Darrell Jackson was going to be god-awful the other night and non-existent for the most part, it doesn't really matter. For Tony's defense to be successful, Darrell has to be a hellraiser.
Well, they doubled him a lot, and that's the thing. Like, playing nose guard is great for run defense because it helps the linebackers. Yeah. 36, I don't know if the big fella they just brought in is healthy enough to play in there when Darrell could move out. He's playing a little bit of edge, but he's 335. He's not going to be a passer. You can't create the 6'4", 240 kid. Either you got
Daniel Lyons can't be playing edge either.
That's what I mean.
The one who was, to me, the most impressive on the D-line the other night was Desir.
Yeah, both of them are pretty good, but Darrell sometimes it's Mandela, but one or the other is often their best pass rusher. It's wild. I would have never guessed that, but hey, that's why you play the games.
That wasn't on my bingo card going into the year.
No, it might either.
Your question is 3rd and 6. I think we have to bring some pressure at Carson. He's too good if you give him time.
I would go fire zone because just showing man blitz to him, he's pretty accurate, brother.
And he's got weapons, sir. All offseason, people thought he's not going to have receivers. He's not going to have receivers.
Malachi's gotten better, and those 2 transfers are at least good. They're not as good as last year. Don't get me wrong. They're not on that level, but they're still consistent, and they fit what he does underneath. They're not hitting big plays.
Yeah, Dawson's good at finding the weaknesses in.
Oh, he's a very good offense coordinator.
He's very good.
Absolutely.
You just have to hope they get conservative against us at times.
Well, they will, but they don't think we're going to score on them. That'd be my guess.
That's the thing. That's my question is, does Tony change his approach this week, or does he just have to challenge Darrell and say, if you don't play well? I mean, what I like is he can show the film of the Bama game when they do things correctly and accurately versus the other night. I mean, how much of it is on, I don't think Tommy was the reason we lost the other night.
No, he wasn't.
But interesting, he said after the game, no, we might have needed this. I was surprised he said that a little bit. Obviously, after the game, your emotions are running high. I was surprised he said it a little, but I wasn't surprised that was the case, if that makes sense.
Well, he's a guy that's always let it fly. When he was in high school and I knew him, etc., he's always been a very talkative guy. He played corner some in 7-on-7, and he was the guy that would tell you what he was going to do. He would do it, and he would tell you why he was doing it, and afterwards he'd tell you about it. He did not care. So he's always been that guy. But the problem is what Tommy needs is something they can't do, and that's, again, it's just they do not have a pass rusher.
Yeah.
The best teams, the ones that win it, rush 4, drop 7, at least part of the time. They may blitz, but if you can't do that, your chances of being elite against other elite teams is pretty low. And ironically, like, I don't know how many people watched any of it. My God, Georgia's pass rush is garbage. Like, it's just a terrible year in college. Like, I went and looked at their PFF numbers. They're as bad or worse than Florida State's. It's just I never thought I'd say that about UGA, but it's a bad year. Florida has a little bit, ironically, because their offense is so bad, and Miami's got a whole bunch. But there's only a handful of teams. Ohio State, a little bit of Texas Tech. Most
Texas.
teams can't rush the passer. Penn State obviously does. Oregon's got some, but it's a really bad year for pass rushers, and Florida State is a microcosm of that. But
we expected that going into the year. We were hoping Darryl will be really good in the middle, and that might aid
help
people.
some. Yeah, but the problem is, like, I've said this once on one of my shows. I'll just say it again here. James Williams is a disappointment in the pass rushing department. Yeah. He plays hard. He's in the backfield. He just doesn't finish.
Yeah,
he's not getting guys to the mouth.
The other night, but that was it. Because I that wasn't a mistake on Chandler. When they blitzed the one Edwin Joseph interception, that to me was a great play call, well executed. That was on the defense there, and that was James who came around and did that. He seems to be a little tentative. I don't know if the weight is a little tough on him. Maybe he's playing in the down position more that you talked about going into the year, which out of his comfort zone a little bit, maybe.
I think they put him there because they need more guys that they trust on the edge, just period. And they thought they could manufacture with the linebackers. But look at it this way. When you play the jack position, you're standing outside the offensive tackle for the other team. Leverage is part of it. There's some shorter pass rushers, but you got to be just a caveman strong to take on these 320-pound offensive tackles if you're 240.
Right.
Florida State.
Malaga this week. Ugh.
Yeah, think about how many linebackers does FSU have right now? They're going to get drafted. Any? I mean, there are a bunch of good. How any of them going to be drafted? I don't know.
I was hopeful on Herring, and I still like him.
But he can't cover, obviously.
No, that's why I think you need to put him more down. Not even. I don't mean 3-point stance. I mean like on the edge more because he can get after it.
Yeah, but they can't cover very well. So Nicholson's probably the most gifted, but like I don't know what they want to do with him because he's probably their best cover guy.
Is Caleb Lavalley going to play this year?
I don't know. I've never watched him, so I don't have much opinion. I've just seen like some high school stuff, but that don't mean much. They have to come up with like Ashwin had 2 sacks. Like they know how to safety blitz, and they're going to have to do some of that.
Yeah.
But you just showed your cards before you play the Hurricanes, so I'm not sure which way. Well, I mean, if they didn't, they wouldn't even win in regulation. They couldn't slow down Virginia in key situations. They really couldn't.
No, and why they didn't catch on to Chandler Morris's hand injury?
I don't know.
I mean, you ran 8 times in a row after that. But if I told you going into the game, Gerald Jackson's going to be a non-factor and Earl Little's going to have a horrible game, you'd be like, get ready for a loss.
I don't know if they were both terrible, but they didn't make plays. And like the one that Earl had, like he didn't even try to wrap up.
No.
That's just mental errors that they didn't make prior. But that's why you watch the games because college kids do funky things. It's just.
That was a funky game.
Yeah, it really was. Like Florida State is conservatively 2 touchdowns better than them, conservatively. Mm-hmm. And they lost, and they should have lost by more. I mean, it should have never made it to overtime. As crappy as they played in the third quarter, when they go down, they drive, and I thought, well, they punch this one here, they're gonna beat them up. They missed the field goal, and then they just fell apart for about 5-8 minutes. And I was like, whoa. So yeah, I think this game against Miami, generating a pass rush in weird ways, probably. Again, Tony's going to have to go into his bag. He may even have to call up some friends to create something. But if they just played the same defense they did against Virginia, they're going to get beat double digits because Carson will carve them up like a Thanksgiving turkey.
And is this the best offensive line you're facing all year? Quite possibly.
It might be the best O-line in college football.
It might be. Now, granted, Bama, going against Bama in that situation does help prepare you, but I go against what I preach is week 1 is not an indication of what week 5 is going to be.
Yeah, if Bama played Florida State right now, who would you take? I'd take Bama just because their offense is pretty darn good now. Maybe not, but I think Florida State would lose a close game. That'd be my guess.
Even if they had lost last night, I would have said the same thing.
Yeah, they've so much better. They're still not near as physical as they need to be, but that's Bama's problem. The point for Florida State, you didn't have to pass rush as much against them because they don't have a good run game as you do against Miami because it's going to be 3rd and 3 or less a lot more than it was against Bama. They faced a lot more 3rd and 5 or longer, and Miami's running backs are better than Bama's.
They are, and that Tim Keenan not playing.
Oh, yeah.
Major factor. Because I watched him up. He is a disruptor.
Yeah, that's
Changes games. That's an NFL player, and you talked about him. I mean, that guy is a monster. That was when I said, wait, we might have a chance now, when I heard he wasn't playing. The Jim Miller, not so much. Keenan, yeah. And it looks like Miami's pretty healthy coming into this game and coming off a bye week.
There are
So
only so many guys that God created that large that can move like that. He's kind of like Daryl. Like, okay, if you don't want to double team him, go ahead. But it's just there's nothing you can do with him. The only other thing that I will say about Florida State, like they have to capitalize on deflections or any. They have to get every possible turnover there is in conjunction with starting fast. It has to be the polar opposite of the game against Virginia. That's pretty much it. Because if Gus's offense plays with a lead, they can do different things with tempo to mess with Miami, etc. I think they'll give Miami's defense a lot of fits because they want to play like top up defense, meaning like cover 2 and stuff, maybe play man under, but with all the jet motions and stuff, they might mess with them a little bit.
Yeah.
It's easier to play zone against what they do. They'll play some man, though. I wonder how much zone they're going to play now and if that impacts them. They got 2 young corners, both sophomores, are good players. But I'm not sure. Playing Gus's offense is an experience because of all the shifts. If you notice, they didn't do it near as much against Virginia. I think that was partially in just due to who they were playing, and they thought they would win. You're going to see every.
You talked about that, Brian.
Yeah,
not to toot your horn there, but you talked about are they going to save a lot for Miami?
I guarantee you they did.
You called that, so I have to give you your credit there. And that's what happened. I was surprised some of the Wildcats on the goal line. Because
they came up with some interesting stuff.
Could you imagine if, and it didn't happen, it worked. I'm just saying hypothetically, if Randy Pittman had thrown an interception.
He actually threw a pretty good pass.
He did. It worked. That was what you call in basketball, no, yes play. But they said Gus is known for doing things against teams he's not supposed to do. And then teams he should do stuff sometimes. But they weren't the reason we lost the other night. I saw a fight in the offense the other night when they were down.
Oh, yeah. They were competitive on defense.
Yeah.
They just didn't make plays.
And like you talked, Virginia had some fluky things go their way, what they needed. You have to have that sometimes. If we have to play Miami straight up to beat them, I don't know if
they can do it, but they got to hit something in the run game for 70 yards, something
keep their offense off the field.
I wonder, Bud Elliott mentioned this not long ago in the Cover 3 podcast. He said something about Chroma, forget which game it was, East Texas or whatever. Somebody had like 6 carries. He goes, I think they're saving him for Miami. And they probably were. He's probably going to be the featured runner if I was to guess against Miami.
But he would have a big run the other night, and they pulled him right away.
I don't know if he's completely healthy. That would be
that's probably it. We don't know that stuff.
Well, I'm just going to.
And you were also a little short on running backs the other night. Roydell didn't play. Cam Davis didn't play. Yeah. I'm not making excuses there, but
Florida State's deep at running back, though.
They're deep, and I don't think Singleton's a pushover. Some of those guys, and
he can hit home runs.
Holmes played well the other night.
Yep, he got 6 running backs.
I think they got a little greedy on offense. They got a little cute. The interception Tommy threw on the 2-yard line, they were running it down their throat that drive. Just punch it in. I don't think you can't get cute against Miami, and they know that if they have any chance to win.
Yeah, I think Miami opened like a 6-point favorite or something like that.
Yeah,
and that's about right. Would be my guess. Long and short of it, though, for Florida State to win, it's got to be +1 in turnovers and/or something they haven't done this year. They have not exactly been very good in the punt return game, or just they need a block punt. There's something that gives you an extra edge, either in really good field position or just flat out a touchdown. And of course, again, if the ball goes in the air off a deflection, you got to find a way to get it. You know what I mean? Like, because Carson's not going to throw it to you.
No,
he's locked in. I'll give him credit. He is locked in. And congrats to him. He's got a grasp of the offense, and they're doing a good job of coaching him. I think that Miami's offense, while they're not explosive, it's not intended to be. They want to grind you into a pulp while they rest their defense. They are trying to play 1988 football, 100%.
Yeah, when Mario was at Miami.
Yeah, he was there from 88 to 92.
Correct.
And I think that
volleyball.
ironically, they didn't do that back then. They didn't have the personnel. Offensive line was their weakest link. Honestly, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
It's ironic.
Skill position players and their defense.
Well, their defensive line was their best spot. It was insanity.
They had their number one picks there.
Yeah, they just had all kinds.
I grew up in Miami in that time, so I remember.
Cortez Kennedy came in, Jerome Brown, and they were awesome. But the key here is Florida State has to play from a lead. If Miami plays from a lead, their offense is the worst thing in the world to face because it's going to be 2nd down and 6, 3rd down and 2, repeat. They are really good. They just run inside duo. That's it. They don't run any. It is the most generic play in football. You double team 2 guys and move to the second level. That's it. It's just they rep the same play over and over again. So their size with Inez Cooper and Big Maui and Markel Bell's even bigger than Maui Noah is. He is 350 plus. Yeah.
6'9".
Yeah, he's a big old feller.
Yeah.
So I think they will be very good in that regard, but Florida State at least has the size to take them on. Again, it's up to Tony to come up with something for some negative plays. And it is really hard play to play to know which safety's coming because they literally move right before the snap. You're guessing.
Yeah.
But they got to guess right on who comes because Miami might start throwing deep. They haven't done it a lot this year.
I think they're going to open doing that. I just have a weird feeling, and I could be 100% wrong because I know Mario loves to establish the run. I have a weird feeling they're going to – because they feel the running game's going to be there no matter what.
Could be.
In their mind. I'm not saying it's the case or not. In their mind. Why not take some shots deep to give them something to think about? We haven't really done it this year. We did not do it against Florida at all. I mean, they talked about Beck's elbow. I don't think that was the case. I think it was the weather. I think they're going to open up doing that a little bit, test our secondary deep, and then be like, all right, that works great. If not, we got the running game.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to
win. In the 20, we can run it on them.
They want to win 27-17. That's how they want to win. They just want to grind you into a pulp,
right,
and play bully ball in 4-minute offense from the mid-third quarter on. That's it. He ran. That's what they did against Florida. Like he punted past midfield like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
He's the most conservative coach in college football.
So, which is interesting because his OC is an air raid kind of guy.
I think that's just called I'm the head coach.
Absolutely.
And I also think that guy will be gone next year if I was to guess because he'll get a head job somewhere. He's done a good job.
Yeah. And Herbstreit even said, and I'm not a proponent of that guy, but he said how, no, we want to be on 2nd, 3rd down physical and run it down your throat. And I said, that's not his thinking. That's Mario making him say that. Which he's the head coach. He can do. But, man, so we talked about Tony White and a new approach this week. And for him, it's kind of, you look what you did. Like, yeah, he's got to pick them up after the game last week. But sometimes that's a little bit easier than how it probably was going into Virginia game. Because Virginia game, he had to deal with some egos, and we were feeling ourselves. And who knows? Maybe he has some distractions. A lot of fans were talking about that. I don't know if I completely buy that. I think he's so laser focused. But, man, sometimes after a loss, you really can galvanize your team more. And it seems like he can motivate Tony. I think this is a money game for him. If he wants a big head coaching job, he has to on a primetime stage.
Yeah, my thing with Tony White is where does he want to go and all that stuff. For what I've heard, it'd be hard for him to turn down UCLA, but it's a terrible job. But it's his alma mater. That's a weird deal. Most people that are Florida State people won't respect it. That are fans if he goes there. But again, that's his alma mater and he played there. So
yeah,
but I don't think he's got to do a lot to get that because nobody wants that job.
Yeah, the name I keep hearing is Arbuckle.
What's that?
The name I keep hearing is Arbuckle from Oklahoma.
He was at Washington State, so he's familiar with recruiting California and stuff.
Yeah, he's a West Coast guy in general.
I could see that. It's very plausible. But most teams want to go with an offensive guy, but who knows? But yeah, I don't know what Tony would be willing to take. Like, look at it this way. Kirby had a ton of jobs he could have taken. He didn't want any job that didn't have elite recruiting capabilities. Correct. Some guys are just that way. They're just not going to go. And then, of course, his alma mater was Georgia. When it opened, it was real easy. So,
correct. No, he turned down Florida State when Jimbo tried to sell him on this will be 100% your defense. You're not under the Saban umbrella. But he knew, why would I leave Alabama?
It's easy. Yeah, I get it.
Absolutely. I got it too at the time. But I'm going to talk about Mike Norvell. The things that failed us the other night were the things we were praising as the focus. It seems like he is good he's good, but in the games he's expected to win, he struggles even more. I could be wrong. I don't think so. But we talked on your show about it this year. Do you think he's the guy long term? I said no. You agreed with me. He's not on the hot seat now. Bama gave him a little bit of a pause there. You can't help but think his seat didn't get a little warmer the other night.
Well, it's a combination of events with Florida State. They're the most unique school in the country as it relates to head coaching stability. I don't know the exact number, but it's over $40 million they owe him. There's just zero chance he's getting fired.
That's true.
And on top of it, if you lose him, you lose Gus. They got the number one offense in the country in both total offense and scoring right now. If you lose him, you're probably going to lose Tony White. And you'd also have to, look at it. If you fire him, you're probably going to be in some awkward situations with the coaching changes, paying some of that.
You're still paying last year's stuff.
That's what I mean. They're in no position to do anything. I know Florida State fans don't like hearing it. FSU has no leverage.
No, this has to work.
Well, I mean, the definition of work is the key here. Think of it this way. When people argue about politics, they're hardly ever arguing the same common denominator. Everybody tries to twitch it. And that's the same thing here. What works? For some fans, it's title or bust. I don't think Norvell's going to win you a title. That's my opinion. Now, can he get you to playoff? Absolutely. Look at the two coordinator hires he made. They might make it this year. But at the same time, is he going to be a guy year in, year out that FSU fans expect? Okay, bad year, we go 8-4, 3 injuries on the offensive line, something like that. That's our floor. He's already proven he can win 2. So you just don't know what you're getting. So that's the problem. And he's not a natural recruiter, which is shocking because he's such a charismatic figure, but it's not his bag. So I don't think he's the right guy for Florida State, but he's what you got. He's not going anywhere.
And he cares at least. He does care.
He likes the place. That part.
Yeah. And I know this sounds cliche. Oh, he cares. I have seen some coaches at that level. You could tell that they're there just for the
That's the worst, brother. That's the worst. And when people are like that, you can usually see through it, and players do, and that's when the transfer portal is their friend.
And we may have had a coach before Willie Taggart like that at the end. But that's why I'm willing. That's why I thought at best going into the Miami game we'd be 3-1 because I just didn't see a win against Bama, and I was a coin flip against Virginia. So to me, you're still on that trajectory. That's not a bad thing. With a huge opportunity to make you forget about last week. I mean, this is where Mike generally is pretty good. He's pretty good at the response. And I told a friend that yesterday, and he had a great answer. He said, we've been hearing response too much for 6 years now. And I said, man, that's a good point. But, yeah, that being said, man, so, man, tell everybody where they can find you, Brian. I really appreciate you coming on today just for these quick hitters going into the game.
Absolutely, man. Locked On Seminoles. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your pods. And if you want to find me on X, it's at FBScout_Florida. That's FBScout_Florida.
Brian, thank you so much for coming on, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Go Noles, everyone.